I don't know. That is still so cool to me. Like that's the era. That's the shit to me. This whole thing right here, this is it. We're not talking about this truck today. We're gonna, let's just go out and talk about the other truck. Doing right now, you guys, this is Caleb. Caleb's our newest guy. How long have we like talked to each other on Instagram?
Probably close to a year and a half.
You think? I think longer, because he was doing 75 hard, and then you did 75 hard the second time, and he was trudging in the snow and shit. And then we talked about this, but it was like a far-fetched dream thing.
Yeah.
And then it was like of action. You know what? Like, cause I had told you we're moving now, we're gonna have a bigger shop, this and that, and you're like, I think I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna take the jump, I'm just gonna take the risk. Caleb moved with his wife pretty far, 5 hours?
Yeah, 5 or 6 hours, yeah.
You know what he looks like? He looks like if you were to watch like the Pacific, the World War II show, or anything with a World War II, like a solid, like just like an honorable veteran or something, someone serving. You look like a guy that has like a bombardier vest on, like in a B-17. You just got out of Enola Gay or something, you know, you dropped a bomb. Like, he looks like the American, like, guy, like the soldier, you know, World War II style.
To top this, to add to it, the nickname for my truck now is the Flying Fortress, which is the B-25.
No, it's the B-17, and I'm gonna forgive you. It's
B-17.
okay, yeah.
I'm sorry.
The B-25, I think the B-24 is a Mitchell. You know, I don't know if there's a B-25. But I know there's a B-29 and a B-17. And then someone else can be like, B-25 is this? Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry, guys.
But Caleb's been a blessing. Caleb's, you know, green and learning stuff. But the thing is, it is not about the skill set. It is about the work that you put in and how you learn and take direction. And it's been awesome. So that's Caleb. You'll see him around. Do you guys remember this thing? I'm gonna be a squinty-eyed fella. I think they call these crow's feet. And I know I'm from California and LA, but I'm still not gonna stuff anything in my face to make it go away. I'm gonna be the Marlboro man. This is Selena. I don't have, when I look at it for like the last 5 years, we've done hundreds of jobs. I've taken a lot of small jobs, and I love the small jobs, you know, where people, sometimes I look at like the pre-runners in the cars is, I think some of them are like tattoos for people. They want certain people to work on them and do certain things. And so there's been big jobs, and then there's been, like I said, hundreds of little jobs over the last 5 years. The 5 years have felt like 10. It's just been a lot, and there hasn't been any that I've lost. You know, we obviously had to get rid of the exotic, and that was one of the best things I ever did for myself in my life and my business, and that opened up a lot of doors. But you know, the one that got away, if we're using that kind of phrase, is Selena. We weren't able to finish her, and she had to get sold. We held on to her for a while, and it just didn't work out. You know, it wasn't necessarily us, it was just financially, it couldn't continue. And we held on to it for a while, thinking it could, and you know, then finally it was just time. You know, the client said, hey, I got to sell this thing. And it sold. And, you know, I always looked in the back of my head and I go, it wasn't even something like where it was, I wish we could finish it. It was something where I go, I hope someone can finish it properly, because you could let something like this really go sideways and get ruined by not having the right design and craftsmanship put into it that it already had from the start. So this was technically the first truck that was going to be a complete build that we started. This is frame off Toyota 2016 Toyota Tundra, came in running driving, supercharged Tundra motor, fairly low miles. I want to say it was in the 40s. The original intention was to run an LSK kit in the front. If you go back on the Selena episodes, just key in. But where we ended up with, especially, you know, with what the rear has, is running a 6.5 inch over Cho 4-wheel drive TTB setup. We did all our own steering, we did all of our own cross member, and then everything, all the integration and all the radius arm mount, the pivots, all that stuff is very nicely done here. It's a short and wheelbase truck, 39-inch tires, big shocks in the back, bigger shocks in the front, 4.5 inch bypass in the front, 3-inch coilover, 2.5 inch bump, and then a 4-inch bypass in the back with the same setup as the rest. Sway bar. Ideally, well, let's not say ideally. Initially, this was going to be this stock engine thing. This truck has came as a blessing. The truck traded hands twice, so it was sold to two people. You know, once the client sold it. This is what, like, I've put together. If I'm wrong, like, you can correct me, but an original builder sells it, or original client sells it, goes to one guy. Guy wants a piece of the cake, does some sheet metal in here, does some welding in here, sells it, goes to this other guy. I get contacted, and you know, the current owner says, hey, Morgan, I'd love for you to finish this thing. He's already asked me before, like, what it's going to look like to finish it. Give him a number for a turnkey, and you know, contacts me when it goes up for sale, and we go get this thing. The bonus to this is we're not just going to finish it how it was originally intended on being finished, but we're going to finish it to the highest level of finishing it. What does that mean? Right now we're shooting for a TRD NASCAR Toyota V8. I think they're 800 to 900 horsepower, naturally aspirated, small block, full custom dash, full custom center console, bigger seats, machine trailing arms, new Cho beams with proper uniball knuckles, and then, you know, all the bells and whistles, and then full tin package, full upholstery, full wiring. Just pretty much the goal is to build this out to the highest level of vision that I can put into it. And the universe works in mysterious ways. I'm not emotional about it. I'm just grateful. We don't have a lot of these things that get out of our hands, you know, or something. And for this to come back around where we can finish it for a client that's like, dude, build it as badass as you can, and have that same goal and have that trust, you know, that's what he wants the outcome to be, is just build it as badass as you can, make it the vision that you always wanted it to be. That's a huge deal. You know, it sucks because it never made it through from the first client, and I'll always feel like I have a part in that too, just, you know, out of principle. But, you know, a lot of this has been growth and lessons, and to see it come back and to come back into our hands where she's home and we get to finish this thing out all the way is huge. So this is really just the Welcome Home Selena episode. What we're going to want to get in order is we got quite a bit of work stacked up. We want to take care of some other stuff in here. And what we'll do is This may turn into something I personally work on, and I may even put it into an after-hour situation. I don't know, but we'll get some parts going for it. As far as like, it had seats when it left our shop, and now they're not here, so we need to get seats. I need to figure out the rear flooring, and then, I'll get with Andrew Cho on his beam, see if he wants to get these back from us so he can sell them to a Bronco guy. He won't do it. Oh, Joey says he wants them. Well, that makes it easy. Joey's shaking his head behind the camera. So get the new setup going. I'm gonna run Mitch's trailing arms back here. That was the other thing I forgot to mention. We're gonna swap out the 3.5 axle housing for a proper 4-inch. Big diff, big axles, just so when we put 900 horse to this thing, it has all the right corner components. And that's the same belief. That's why I like Dolly, the F100, even though that's kind of a mellow build, it still has 6-on-6.5 trophy truck hubs on all 4 corners and a 4-inch housing, because that's the stuff you just never want to fail. Last thing you want ever is for a wheel to pop off on any corner. It's a disaster. So trusting in a bigger bearing and a proper hub, even if it's a lower level build, that's the move for sure, if you can. Okay, Super Bomber, whoever, I don't know who did it, but someone started to do, we had this thing prepped for, I think it was all root passed and it was prepped for final welding. I'm not gonna be critical, but it the welding that's on here is not what I would require to be standard for what we weld. So we're gonna have to go through, it's not wide enough to necessarily be something we have to sand down and grind out, but maybe I'm just gonna prep it, wire wheel it, and then I can run another cover pass with a rod on it, probably 045, and just tighten everything up and get everything consistent. A side note on welding, spacing. If, the way I view spacing is when you're welding something and you have this space, this is your, this is one puddle, and then you have another puddle and another puddle, and you keep continuing this. What you're doing is you have these saw blades in here where the overlap is starting, and that's inconsistency in this whole metal. This thing's going through a huge heat cycle, the parent materials, and that's going through a huge heat cycle, and what it's doing is it's leaving a little hook right here. And what does that hook do? That hook leaves room for that, cracks. So the best way to do this that I believe in is I stack stuff super tight, tighter than that, where it makes more of a consistent zone where the weld is bonded to the parent materials. So it's less prone to fatigue and cracking, and it's not doing inconsistent, heat index here, cold, heat index, cold, and it's not doing this in and out cycle. Again, that's my bro science, that's my metallurgy. But when you see our cars, you'll always be able to tell the stacks are super tight. They're super tight. Sometimes they're inconsistent, but they're grouped very closely together, and that's a guarantee everywhere. We usually weld on 250 amps, and we do a foot pulse. I do not do any auto pulse on anything. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just not what we do. So take a look around. This is a Blitzkrieg rear back half. This is the original fuel cell that Nate developed. We'll send this to Harmon to get a bladder. We'll probably powder coat it black first, and then this one was the super short wheelbase guy. So, you can see when this, we talked about previously that the wheelbase, when this thing compresses, it arches in. So when the car goes to full compression, it pulls the rear tire towards the front of the car. So this thing, I remember it gets like 1.5 inches at compression. It's got huge up travel. Like obviously it's squatted back here right now, but I think it's 16 inches of up travel from ride height. Same with Duke. Duke has 16. So, just gonna tighten this thing up. It's got really good bones. The greatest bummer is gonna be the sheet metal that's on the A-pillar. You can definitely shoot close-ups of this when you get here. I get it, and I see the inspiration, I see whoever did this. If you're watching this, I'm not trying to talk shit on you. There's just a standard we have for how we design stuff and build stuff, and I'm just saying it's not cohesive. But there's sheet metal in the A-pillar area that has to come out. It's just not how we do it. So, that's the only thing we're gonna have to demo. And then there's miscellaneous welding, unless I haven't seen something, but there's just miscellaneous welding back here that we're gonna have to cover over, that we'll get a win on no matter what, just because it's not that wide. So when I put a nice hot 250 pass into there with rod, it'll be wider and it'll cover it. And it doesn't look contaminated. The welds are just really inconsistent and spaced out. So it's not like they're gross and there's porosity and it's popping out. It doesn't look like anything we have to grind into. But this is something to look forward to. Full complete car. This is the one that got away. This is our Selena, and she's back with us. So like I said, it's a really special thing. I'm super grateful. I think that's it. Hope you guys have a good day.